Okay, let's do this, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Spoderman did a $2 super chat. He says, explain the Grace Thorp situation. There is no Grace Thorp situation.
Okay, so I don't know exactly what the whole history is regarding this. And to me, when somebody says situation, it makes it sound like it's something of utmost importance. Because of that, he could be telling the truth. But you also got to remember this is DSP Gaming. Uh, and he has a very lengthy history of dubiousness when it comes to his claims and his statements and everything. So you always really have to listen to what he says and analyze it on a per case basis or per statement basis, whatever you would like to refer to it as. So basically, to catch everybody up, Grace Thorp, I don't know that much about her. She released a couple pieces of information recently. So first off, we have this. It is basically her saying that he's totally right. It's a very casual back and forth. And that could indicate that there's no situation there. But like I said, this is DSP Gaming, so you really got to be careful. The only thing to really gleam out of this is that she wants to still do an interview with him or maybe do some IRL content. Well, I can tell you right off the bat, that's never going to happen. She would have better luck doing an IRL with somebody like Chris Chan. At least Chris Chan has been regularly seen out in the community. Phil is like this weird hermit that you can only see out in the community like one time every 100 years or something like that. But yeah, so basically that's basically what she said. I even went through her X just a couple months worth of entries, and this is literally all I could find that she said regarding DSP Gaming. If she literally said anything else, it's long gone. And this was basically a response apparently to Tax Headroom, which basically said DSP got caught making drama contacts again, so but yeah, that's literally all she said. So going by what she said, yeah, I would say there's no situation. Doesn't mean he never contacted her or anything. No, he contacted her. He even admits that he contacted her. The question is the severity of it and everything. But anyway, so to those who don't know, this is what was making the rounds yesterday. So here, let's pull this up.
Dude, that guy is he's bigger than we thought, Grace. Or I thought. Yeah.
GSP?
He's big.
Yeah, no, he's pretty big. I've had long conversations with him in DMs.
Okay, now she said she has long conversations. She doesn't state exactly, what the conversations were like or their length. That they were just back and forth. That could mean anything. But like I said, I don't know anything about her that much. All I know is that she apparently she deals with drama content, and there could be something going on with her and her dad. With that said, because of the fact my knowledge of her is so limited, I can't say, oh, she's telling the truth, she's not telling the truth. But when you're weighing it against somebody like DSP Gaming, who just has that reputation of not being honest, you kind of go in the favor of the person who you may not know that much compared to the person who you know a lot of, if they're known for fibbing, basically.
Like a $2,000 dono.
Yeah. He's big. He's known as a lolcow, but I was gonna do an interview with him about how what being a lolcow is and how we feel like we identify and don't identify with it. Well, because what am I gonna do? Play video games with him? That's what he does.
Oh.
Because he hit me up and he was, no, somebody.
I thought you were gonna talk shit about RTU.
Yeah, but he doesn't really know RTU that well, I guess.
Neither do we.
Yeah, that's true.
Big fat baby, that's all I know.
Big fat baby.
Sure. Private.
Wet his diapers.
Okay, so that's basically what was gleamed. And that video was from yesterday. There may be more, but as I'm recording this is the next morning. So I just wanted to get up and jump right onto this, doing this video and everything. So she says that, that she would like to do content with this guy, interview and whatnot. And you have Phil basically saying that there's no situation. The truth lies somewhere in the middle, but it's more towards Grace's side, I would say, just because, like I said, this guy, he could literally just be honest. He could literally just be honest, outright, and try and just say, yes, I talked to her. We talked about this, this, and this, and then move on. Or he didn't even have to acknowledge it. I don't think that there is a rule on YouTube that says that somebody sends you a donation that you have to acknowledge it. Here, let's actually do some research. Let's do some research, shall we? This. There you go. Let's see here. When receiving donation. Oh, I misspelled that. Let's fix that. This is one of the few words I always get. Where's that? There. One of the words I always tend to get the letters mixed up in. When receiving a donation such as super thanks. I think that's on YouTube. Super thanks. Thanks or tip on YouTube is the live streamer required to say and acknowledge say thank you and acknowledge the donator? No, the live streamer is not legally or contractually obligated, legally contractually required by YouTube to say thank you or acknowledge a donor who sends super chat, super sticker, or tip. From YouTube's perspective, and platform terms of service, features like super chats, super thanks super chats and super thanks are legally classified as purchases of digital goods and services. A paid message highlight or an animation rather than a direct unconditional donations or crowdfunding. However, looking at the situation from a practical and social community standpoint, the reality is a bit different. Platform policies. YouTube does not penalize or suspend creators for missing a thank you shout out. The interface automatically highlights super chats in the chat stream or pins them to a ticker so the audience can see them, which technically fulfills the utility of the purchase. Community etiquette and growth. While not required, acknowledging donators is standard streaming etiquette. Streamers who routinely ignore financial support usually see a sharp decline in future tips. Verbally thanking supporters creates social proof that encourages other viewers to contribute. High volume streams. On very large live streams, it can become physically impossible for a creator to catch and verbally thank every single super chat or tip. Viewers generally understand this and accept general thank you everyone, or thanks everyone for the support if individual shoutouts aren't feasible. Okay, so as I basically read up here, they're not legally required or contractually required to say thank you and everything, basically to acknowledge it. And this is the one thing that I think that Phil could work better on, or work more on, I guess you could say. It's a known fact. A lot of what people say are attempts to bait him, and that's what this was. This was an attempt to bait him. They wanted to get him rattled. They wanted to get him rattled to see how he would mess up. If he just took that few seconds to just look at the comment or the tip or the message, let's look at the message and basically just see, okay, what would this get the stream? Like, what would me addressing this get the stream? If he did something like that, I think he'd be in a lot better place. This is why I always say never acknowledge your critics. Never acknowledge your critics. By acknowledging your critics, it gives them space in your head. don't acknowledge them, farm them. Basically, that's what I do. So he should have just thought of that and just either ignored it or just given a very quick response. But as always in DSP style, he has to over-explain everything.
If you want to know any kind of, relation that I have to Grace Thorp, there's none. All right. So
he could literally just said, if you were curious about the relationship between me and Grace Thorp, he was right. He was doing it pretty good right there. There is none. Move on. There is none, and then should just move on.
Hold on a second. Let me get your super chat up here. I'll tell you very matter-of-factly.
And this will ultimately be his issue.
The only interaction I ever had with this person. Okay.
This is ultimately his issue. He needs to explain everything. He needs to over-explain everything. Just answer the question as matter of fact. There is nothing there. Move on. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, they're not going to care about long answers or short answers. They just want to see the guy get rattled.
Okay. Way back early this year, it was either December or January, I don't even remember when, someone on my stream came into the chat and said, what do would you ever do a collab with Grace Thorp? And I said, I don't know who that is. I have no idea what you're talking about. And I think they had very briefly tried to explain to me who this person was, and that was it.
I am a firm believer that if you look at the way that the person's chair is moving from time to time, and this can go for anybody. It can go for DSPGaming, it could go for Wings of Redemption, it can go for anybody. If you look at the chair, sometimes the chair actually conveys what the content creator is not showing you. And in this case, if you notice, the chair is starting to shake a little bit, which means that this rattled Phil. Why? If there's nothing there, then why is he so fidgety that the chair is moving?
And I was like, well, I don't know anything about it, right? And that was it. That was the end of it. I don't remember, right? I don't remember what I actually said because, again, I don't know who this person is. Well, this person DM'd me on X and said, hey, so I heard that someone brought me up, or you brought me up on your stream, and, I was wondering if you want to do like an interview or a collab or something. And we had a very back and forth conversation that lasted very short amount of time. I was like talking to her about what kind of content does she make, because I had no idea. And I was telling her about the kind of content I make, and I was like, I don't know if there's any real cross.
Once again, I kind of doubt what Phil says regarding he says, I don't know what she does, because it's a known fact that odds are that when he gets done with his streams, at the end of every stream after he gets off, he probably researches the people whose names are thrown up. Because the thing about Phil is he's always chasing money. And if he thinks that he can try and do a partnership with somebody in hopes of getting money, he'll go for it.
Over there whatsoever. I just don't think so. And basically we talked maybe twice in a very brief back and forth in the DMs, and that was the end of it. Like, basically we just stopped talking to each other in January. I guess we kind of realized there's not going to be any collab because there's really no crossover. You know what I mean? It'd be one thing if maybe she was into games, or maybe I was into the kind of stuff that she was doing, the kind of content she was doing. There was nothing. Okay. I guess she goes to like debate stuff, like debate events, and does IRL streaming constantly and stuff like that. I don't know anything about.
Well, if you go by what she said in her in the image here, let's see here, let me pull it back up. It looks like she also just wanted to possibly do an interview. Interviews don't have to be tied to whatever that person's specialty is, like politics or whatever the hell. It doesn't have to be tied to that. It can literally just be anything. And this is what always kind of makes me chuckle. He literally says that nobody is willing to do any kind of collab with him because trolls. However, he has somebody who's willing to do an interview with him. Hell, even do some IRL streaming, which, like I said, that would never happen though. And he still turns it down. So is it so much the fact that he can't get anybody to collab with him because of trolls, or is the fact that he just doesn't want to doesn't want to collab with people, and instead will play the victim? I have seen so many times that Phil says that, nobody will collab with him, but then people will attempt to reach out to him and everything. Hell, the best case is the whole truth seekers. The only reason Phil does not want to do the truth seekers is because it's literally in their title. They seek out the truth. People have actually offered, and this is what really makes him look bad in my eyes. Phil claims that he's constantly a victim of a society of trolls and detractors and all that. The truth seekers, I think that's what their name was. This was last year, if I remember correctly. But anyway, one of them offered him a chance to do a lie detector test, fully funded. It would not come out of Phil's pocket at all. Phil would just have to go, I think they said, like, to a hotel room, and that they had a professional lie detector operator that would be willing to administer the test. This would have literally cleared Phil. If Phil is as innocent as he claims, and he's just a victim of a hate mob, basically, that he's never done anything wrong to them, he would have done that lie detector. He would have done that test, because the test would ultimately at least come back and say that he's telling the truth. Yeah, lie detectors are not viable in court, but we're not talking about court here. We're literally just talking about Phil trying to prove his innocence. He doesn't want to collaborate. He just doesn't want to. He doesn't want to collaborate because, number one, he's a loner. Number two, he knows that lie detector would probably explode the moment they go, "Are you happy?" Phil, are you happy? Yes. Sad but true.
About it. I guess at one point she'd been involved with Keemstar, but I didn't know about that either. Okay. So, yeah. So I didn't know anything about it at all. And that's it. That's literally the end of it. There was nothing, no relation, no real interaction. We're not doing anything together. I have no idea why you're even bringing this up, because it's really no one's business.
He's bringing it up because of the fact that video was made public, and the fact that, once again, Grace Thorp, she acknowledged it. I feel that if somebody, if one party openly says that they're talking, or like this, if they're talking about it, then I feel that it is within the public's right to commentate about it. That's where Phil, he's different. He's like, well, if, nobody should know anything about what I do. Well, if one party starts talking about it, hey, it opens it up then.
Just for the record, I talk to a ton of people behind the scenes about stuff. About, hey, what's going on with this? What's the true story about this? Hey, a possibility of a collab here or that. All the time. I've talked to, probably in the last 2 years, probably like 50 different people on that very same criteria, that very same basis. Just a hello, how you doing? What kind of content do you make? You think there's a collab opportunity? That's it. So why are you bringing this up? Here's the question. Why are you bringing this up?
Because they're curious. They're curious. And the fact that he's starting to get defensive makes me think that there's something going on. He probably, he probably told her not to say anything because of trolls, doxing her or whatever. The typical spiel that he likes to use. And she basically brought it up, made the video public, and now he's getting upset about it.
Why would anyone even care about that, and why do you even know about it? Because I'd like to know. You're bringing it up because it's public info. How is it public info that we talked very briefly behind the scenes about a possible collab?
Oh, Phil, you literally took what it could have been like a 5-second response and just ballooned it into this. Okay, dude, sure, go ahead.
That shouldn't have been anyone's. First of all, it shouldn't have been anyone's business. A private conversation between two people behind
She didn't share specifics. She literally just said that, that they had a back and forth. She didn't post, the entire chat log. She didn't do that. She literally just, responded to what Tax Headroom said. And Phil is making it sound like she's making it sound like she literally, oops, wrong one. Okay. She's making it sound like literally, she, spread his secrets and everything, his trade secrets, the secrets for the family's pasta sauce. That's what he's making it kind of sound like she did.
In the scenes is no one's business because people try to make drama out of it. That's why you don't tell everyone, oh, yeah, I talked to this person today about... No, you don't do that.
I would go as far to say that Phil's making it, turning it more into drama than she did.
She said we used to have long convos. We have never had a long convo ever. That has never happened. That's a lie.
And at this point, because we don't know where the truth lies, and going by this, she didn't say that they had long conversations. She just basically said that very casual back and forth. There's nothing there to indicate that it was a long conversation. Phil cannot tell when it is that people are baiting him, which is kind of hilarious because if you remember, he got on Wings of Redemption and said that Wings of Redemption gets baited too easily. But look at this. Look at this.
She was playing... Okay, here's something that might actually be truthful. She was doing a GTA stream, so she was playing Grand Theft Auto, and she brought up your DMs and chats. That's why people are asking. There was no DMs or chats. It was she DM'd me.
So there was DMs. Didn't he just say that there was no DMs or chats? And then he, like, within the same breath, he says that she DM'd him. It'd be like me saying, I like DSP Gaming. He's the greatest guy. I hate DSP Gaming. It's like, what? You literally just said there was no DMs or chats, but now you say that she DM'd him.
Saying, hi, I heard you brought me up on a stream. And I was like, no, someone brought you up on my stream, but I don't even know who you are, what kind of content you make. We talked back and forth about it a few times. In fact, at that time, I had just gotten these. Like, I got these in December, but I hadn't really used them yet. And I was wondering, how viable is it to, like, stream on a cell phone? Because of battery issues.
And this is something he asked her. Now, I don't believe this. Unless she comes out and says that this is true, then I'll retract what I said. But the fact that literally he needs to have people handhold him when it comes to fixing his computer. You're telling me he could not ask the same audience, hey guys, I'm planning on going outside to do an IRL stream, which would never happen. I'm kind of concerned about the battery strength of my phone, how long it would last doing streaming and recording and all that. What would you guys suggest? You're telling me he wouldn't ask his audience for help regarding that. He'll ask them for help regarding fixing his computer, but he won't ask him about that. I don't buy this. I don't buy this at all. You know what I think it is, ladies and gentlemen? Here's what I think it is. I think he's getting defensive because ultimately, if you recall, he likes to tout that he is a happily married man. He's married to his soulmate, basically. Yet here we see him once again contacting other females. Come on, Phil. Stop it. Just be honest. You could have literally saved yourself a freaking headache if you just said, yeah, I contacted her, about collabing and just moving on. But no, ultimately what it is he's getting upset because now Kat may find out and she's probably going to come down on him.
So I said to her, like, you do IRL streaming, like, what kind of equipment do you use? And she explained, I bought a battery pack that I put on my phone, and it lets the phone last a lot longer, so that way you can actually do...
And this is something that he couldn't have thought of himself. I refuse to believe that he cannot have figured this out himself. I think he's using this as basically a backdoor to try to get out of all this.
IRL streams longer than just like an hour or two because the battery tends to die. You know, very basic stuff about content creation. That's it. That's what we talked about. And I think at one point she brought up something about she'd been on a Keemstar show like Lolcow Live or something, and that was it. And I like we just stopped talking because there was no interest. You know what I'm saying? Like there was nothing there to do. To have her as a guest on the show, I would have not a clue what to talk about.
And once again, this goes back to what I think I said it earlier in this video. I can't recall. She said that she thought he was a very sweet guy. To me, may just be me. But when you say somebody seems like they're a sweet person, sweet guy, to me it seems like that this is slightly more than just your casual conversation. It sounds like that this could have gone for at least for a few days. The way that Phil tries to picture this or frame this, sorry, the way he tries to frame this, he makes it sound like that this was like a two-minute conversation. Hey, hey, I heard you talked about me. No, I didn't talk about you. Oh, okay, bye. You know, something like that. When I hear somebody give a compliment, like he sounds like such a sweet guy or whatever, to me it sounds like that there's a little bit more substance there.
Because it seems like we're just different kinds of content completely. So there's no crossover there.
There was no real connection between Phil's content and the Truth Seekers, but he still did that. Isn't Truth Seekers more kind of like conspiracy theory based and everything? Yet here Phil is doing games and gaming content. That didn't stop him then.
So there you go. Anyway, that's that. Done. There's nothing else to talk about. There's nothing else to bring up. You want to be, dramatic and stupid and make it up, go.
Oh, here comes the insults. You know that a nerve has been struck when he starts throwing out the insults. This goes with all individuals I've seen over my years on YouTube. If they have a legitimate case and they're not rattled, they don't need to resort to throwing insults at the viewers. They just don't. They can do it professionally. But you know that the moment that they start throwing insults, they're basically losing the argument.
Go on doing whatever the hell you do. I'm going to go on my merry way of my life here, okay? Again, I want you to understand that in the last 2-3 years, I reached out, or people reached out to me. It happened both ways. And talked to a lot of people about a lot of possibilities for crossovers and/or content together. People have expressed interest in seeing me do interviews or be interviewed and do this kind of content, right? They have. And so I always entertain. I'm always...
Then why don't you produce on those, on those... Oh, God. What's the right word for this? Why doesn't he produce on these invites that he receives, I guess you could say? Literally, it wouldn't take much for him to go on to Zoom, onto whatever, face-to-face, web service. It wouldn't take that much. The answer is I don't think that he gets that many. I just don't. Because you got to remember, everything we're hearing is strictly from his perspective, and Phil has been known for telling fibs. He's been known for telling half-truths. He's been known for outright lying to people. Hell, he even told Craig, "A lie is still an answer." I think the correct quote was. People may get me on that, but he basically said that, well, a lie is still a lie. Lie is still an answer, whatever. How can you trust somebody who proudly claims, well, a lie is still an answer? How can you trust somebody like that? And the answer is you can't. That is why I say whatever Phil says, you need to really take a grain of salt.
Very nice and what's the word? I'm always very polite, and I'm not willing to I'm always willing to at least have the initial conversation about a possibility of something going on, a collab or something. Okay, it almost never goes anywhere because it usually ends up in one of two situations. Situation number one, oh, actually, there's really nothing there for us to do that would be too interesting for either party. It wouldn't really benefit both of us to do it.
I disagree with this. I think even if there's not much there, it would at least still paint Phil in a better light than he already is in. Basically, it would show, hey, Phil's attempting to reach out. There may not be anything here, but at least he's trying to reach out and prove that he's trying to become, something better.
Or number two, well, Phil, yeah, actually, this is an awesome, interesting collab. This would work, but sadly, we don't want to get harassed by your
And there it is. There it is.
detractors, and we don't want to end up doxxed on Kiwi farms. So because of that, we're going to decline. That's the two outcomes that usually happen whenever I seek or someone seeks to collab with me. It's one or the other side, okay? So it is what it is. It's sad because I really wish that I could do more work with other people. I wish that it could be more beneficial for both sides. There wouldn't be drama. There wouldn't be harassment.
Notice how he's turning his head. He's not even looking at the camera at this point. I don't know about you, but if you ask me, if I'm watching this and he can't even look at the camera, I'm not always saying at least having eye contact with the camera, but at least looking at the direction of the camera. I would say like, okay, there's something wrong here. If he can't even look towards the camera, to me, it makes it sound like that this isn't as honest as he's, basically proclaiming.
But sadly, that's just not the reality. For me, sadly, a lot of the things that every other creator gets to do, I don't get to do. And I'm still doing well, so I guess it's not a big deal, right? I guess it's just not that big of a deal because I am very successful with the stuff that I'm doing. So, for the record, I think that's ridiculous what you said. He said, why would you waste time doing content with people beneath you or no shared interest? Beneath you is a messed up way to say that.
Phil, you act like on a daily basis your critics are beneath you. Hell, how many times have you literally said that if they were snapped out of existence that nobody would miss them? How is that not beneath you, Phil? How?
That is. Like, you have to understand that I don't feel like anyone on planet Earth is any more or less important than anyone else. It's just sadly people act that way. But just because someone's a bigger creator or a smaller creator or whatever, it doesn't mean anything. A collab is a collab, and if it could be mutually beneficial, it doesn't matter if you're huge.
He doesn't want mutually beneficial. He wants outright total control of whatever happens. That's the way it is. He wants outright control, and he wants like minimum effort. Outright control, minimum effort, maximum profitability, basically.
You're small, you're in between, who cares, right? I mean, let's be honest, a lot of people's content would never work if they didn't have other people on it. There's a lot of these, like the Joe Rogan podcast. It's humongous, but if he didn't have all these other people on the show, it never would have been successful. So in a lot of ways, even though Joe Rogan is a great interviewer and entertainer, he owes his success to the fact that everyone else was generous to show up on his show, right? So I don't know why you act like, oh, you're below this person. That's kind of messed up to say that. And says, why do you get upset when a person disagrees with you? Do you already know they're a troll? I don't get upset every time a person disagrees with me. That's a false statement. It's a very generalized and very false statement. In fact, I welcome... Oh, Jasper, you want to go in the closet? Here you go. Right? Here you go. I welcome criticism, I welcome feedback, and I welcome differing opinions. But it's all
Side scrollers would beg to differ, Phil.
about delivery and the way that you present it. Like, for example, I'll give you two different opinions, or two different ways here, okay? Phil, I'm going to be honest with you. The last few episodes of DSP Tries, it didn't really cut it for me. I thought they were kind of boring, and the stuff that you're trying is kind of not that interesting anymore. I think that you should try something different and mix it up for the show, because right now it's kind of stagnant. I'm really not enjoying the episodes. That was scenario one, okay? Now here's scenario two. Phil, DSP Tries, it sucks. The show sucks, and you suck. So do you understand the two differences there? In one case, a person was honest, and yes, it was a negative feedback opinion, but it was given in a constructive way, explaining exactly why that position was being held, and in a way that maybe could be seen as, hey, I just want things to be better for you, and that's why I'm being honest. Now compare that with the person who's literally just doing it to be insulting.
Sometimes people are just brutally honest, Phil. Especially when it comes to somebody like you, you need to be literally kind of you need to have the most abrasive opinions, because basically Phil likes to be coddled. He likes to be coddled. That's basically what it is. And unless you literally hammer it in, he doesn't hear anything. At least anything critical.
Do you see the difference? So I don't get angry at people who disagree with me. I get angry at people who are disrespectful to me. There's a difference. Okay? In fact, I'm very much welcome, you know,
Look at the chair. The chair is telling you something different.
tried new ideas and done new things. I mean, what we're going to be doing starting next week with DSP Tries It is a direct result of an idea that someone had on stream. Okay?
Let me guess, more food. Yeah, that's a real change, Phil. That's a real change.
So there you go. You're streaming and making money is what makes haters seed. By doing that, you automatically win. Yeah. And that's what they're so upset about. Again, if I was struggling, if things weren't going well.
Apparently they're not going well, because as of the time I'm recording this, it sounds like Wedge quit Dark Souls 2 Scholar the First Sin. I think that's what it's called. It sounds like he quit that. Yeah, Phil, your business is doing just totally awesome.
They'd be, oh, look at everything we say and do is correct. We hate Phil, it's justified. But since I'm doing well, since everything's going good, since all these new things are happening that are positive, they can't take it, right?
Once again, I have to ask, like, what is good that is going on in Phil's life? To me, it sounds like he's still in the same rut. He's still at level 1. House is still falling apart. Cat hasn't had her the lady hasn't even had her honeymoon. Screw taking her out to the zoo or whatever. This poor lady hasn't had her honeymoon. Does she even remember where she wanted to go for her honeymoon at this point? Let's see what else is there. He can't leave the house. And when he does leave the house, it's for extremely short periods of time. What has turned around for this guy? What has turned around for this guy?
Thank you for $5. And Spoderman did another $2 super chat saying, do you miss your good friend Wings? Wings was not my good friend. Like I said, I could barely get that man to ever respond to anything that I ever said to him. Really, it would be like, you try to message him about something, and it's about a maybe 10% chance that he would ever respond to any.
Because sometimes people are busy, Phil. And honestly, unless if it's trolls or commentators like me, you're not that interesting. Do you think somebody on the East Coast is going to actually care about the day-to-day life of a guy who treats everybody like crap? Do you think they will? No.
Anything that you ever say. So, did I have some good conversations with him? Yes. Do I wish him the best? Yes. Am I good friends with him? No. We don't talk about anything private or nothing. Nothing here says somebody responding to a content creator asking for a collab is controversial, then almost every content creator is guilty. No, it's stupid. Anyone who I speak with is controversial. When people found out that I had talked to Wings, that was controversial. When people find out, oh, he talked to Ethan Ralph, that's controversial.
Ethan Ralph, from what I understand, he has done some really bad things. That's why people say it's controversial. Not because DSP reached out to him. No, but the fact that the guy who he reached out to did some bad things. I keep on saying stuff. Did some bad things.
You see? Why? Because I'm DSP and people want to make content out of anything I do because they realize that there's a lot of very hyper-obsessed autistic people on the internet who are obsessed with me for no good reason. And that when they make content...
Yeah, it's totally no good reason. Pay no attention to the lies. to the fact that he the way he treats his parents, to the way he treated his past friends, to the way he treated his to his previous girlfriend. Yeah, he's never done anything wrong, ladies and gentlemen. He's never done anything wrong. He's a total innocent victim of a cruel, manipulative system. Is that where you're going with this, Phil? Really? Is that where you're going with this?
About me, no matter what it is, if they make it sound toxic and negative, they're going to make money on it. So the moment I speak to anyone, oh my God, that's content for us. Okay? So it doesn't matter who I'm speaking with. They're going to try to make drama. They're going to try to make up something terrible about it so that they can make content and make money. That's all it is, period. So, well, like I said, yeah, over the last 2-3 years, I've spoken with probably 50 different people about possibilities of collabs, ideas, shooting the talking about content creation, the industry, things going on, all this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, Phil, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Talking to Ethan Ralph or messaging Wings of Redemption 50 times does not constitute talking to 50 different people. It just doesn't.
And nothing really came out of most of it. A few times it did. You saw some of the crossovers of things that I've done. But for the most part, nothing really comes of it. Like I said, most people, they can't stand the heat of getting harassed by these A-logging, obsessive weirdos on the internet who just want to ruin your life, and I don't blame them. It sucks because there was 1 or 2 opportunities I had with people who I thought it would be amazing conversations, really fun collabs, just really awesome content for both sides.
What was the collab? What was going to revolve around, Phil? I'm just curious. What would these collabs have? What was the topics?
We both benefit. And then they were like, nah, we're not going to do it because we just can't be on kiwi farms, I got friends.
Dude, can you imagine what it must be like to be made an avatar of everything wrong with a person? Whenever Phil talks about why people cannot collab with him, have you noticed he always brings up kiwi farms? Damn, kiwi farms is living in this guy's head rent-free.
I got family. I can't have my entire living situation doxxed. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. Like, yeah, I totally, when you put it that way, I completely understand. I'm not going to argue with you or pressure you at all because I totally get it. No one deserves that. Yet that's what these people do. See, Only Fear of Death says, I would love to see you do a collab with fighting game veterans like Justin Wong or Yipes. I could do that, right?
At most, they may say hello to Phil. They're never going to do a collab with this guy. Why collab with a person who has utter disdain for you? That would be like me, like me going to DSPGaming, for example. Hey, Phil, would you like to collab with me after I've released video after video after video after video of me critiquing him? That would never happen. And rightfully so. Why would you want to work with somebody who literally just critiques you all the time? But in this case, Phil is literally attacking and insulting the FGC. Why would they want to work with him?
Like, I've talked to Justin. He was totally cool with doing it, but it's like, but what are we going to do? We're worlds apart. Justin Wong, 100%, is an FGC guy. His whole life is FGC. Every facet of what he does is FGC.
Do your Friday night fights or whatever it's called, where he plays retro Street Fighter. Have Justin Wong, play a few rounds with him. That'd be cool. He won't do that because that means he'd have to reach out to the people, and that means that would open himself up to basically becoming ridiculed, basically. The only reason that he sometimes gets to play with known fighting game people is because it just happens to be dumb luck that he stumbles across them. That's basically what it is.
Right? He's the guy. He's a face of the FGC. He's a figurehead. He has to be ultra positive about the FGC at all times because that's his living, right? What possible benefit would there be of a crossover between me and Justin Wong? You know me. I'm not part of the FGC. I'm highly critical of people in the FGC.
And that's why he just literally said what I just said earlier. He's critical. I wouldn't even say he's critical. He's outright inflammatory, to be honest.
I barely play fighting games these days anymore. You know what I mean? Like, what will we even do? Nothing here says, it would be awesome to see you do an in-person live collab at a gaming convention like a co-op gamers.
Oh, like I said, you'd have better luck finding Chris Chan out in the wild than DSP Gaming at a convention. The convention days are long past for DSP Gaming. The fact is that if he even approached a convention, he'd start thinking, "Oh my God, how many people are there just to razz me?" He wouldn't make it through that door. He wouldn't. He wouldn't. It is literally a physical impossibility for him. His mindset is too negative nowadays. Instead of just being positive, if he went to a convention and go, you know what, I'm going to go to this convention and have fun. I have the wife that I love with me. I'm going to go and have fun. I'm going to record myself enjoying these festivities, I guess you could call it. I'm going to enjoy, buying some stuff. I'm going to show everybody what I'm buying. I'm going to have fun. No, he would approach that building and think, oh my God, there's gonna be like 1,000 detractors and they're just waiting to dunk on me. When in all due honesty, they could freaking care less about him because they're there to actually have fun. They're there to have fun and buy stuff. They're not there waiting for DSP Gaming to come in. No, they're not.
Oh, I have to look into gaming conventions and stuff. I haven't looked at that in a million years. DSP #1 fan, thanks for $2. He says, dream collab with the Quartering. Again, what kind of collab with the Quartering? The Quartering is a culture wars drama guy, right-wing guy. What content would I possibly make with him? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I don't get. Like, you guys know what I do. Gaming, right? I'm a gamer. At heart, I'm a gamer. Sure, I talk about other topics from time to time. So if ever there was like a podcast or an event where they wanted a panel of varied guests to talk about a topic, I could probably jump into a situation like that as like a one-off thing. But outside of that, I mean, I'm a gamer and I'm a YouTuber. Those are my two things. I've been a YouTuber.
Oh my God, if there was only such a popular genre on YouTube, that Phil could fit in. Oh, that's right, there is, called gaming. He acts like literally that he's the only one on YouTube that does games, and because of that, he can't collab with anybody. Gaming on YouTube is like one of the biggest genres, and you're telling me that he can't find anybody to collab with? Really, Phil? You want to go? Is that the mountain you want to fight on? Really, Phil?
For 18 years, I've seen how this business goes up and down, how the industry has changed in that regard. And I've been into games heavily my whole life. And again, covering them for YouTube for 18 years. Again, I'm pretty much an expert on the industry. Those are the two things. Or if you wanted to talk about the old school FGC, like if someone actually wanted to know the truth about the old school FGC, not the that you've heard, all the rainbows and unicorns, but the truth about how old school FGC was formed and formulated and run, I've got all the knowledge on that. Right up here, I was there the entire time, and I would be willing to share that. Outside of those topics, I don't know what else I would collab on. You know what I'm saying? Someone tipped $1, says, can you stop saying you made money on cards? You don't make money till you sell. You're just saying you're...
That's true. You don't make money on cards until you sell them. Until you actually sell the cards, it's just basically worthless pieces of cardboard. That's basically what it is. And I'm not saying that they don't have value, but unless you sell them, like you don't get anything from them.
You're just speculating on current market pricing. Yes, that takes common sense to understand. See, a lot of us aren't like hyperfixated, autistic, micromanaging the details kind of people.
Oh, gee whiz. I don't understand why people don't like me.
And we can understand that when I say I made money on cards, it means that the overall value is more than what I paid. It doesn't mean that I had to sell.
The cards are useless unless you sell them, Phil. I have thousands of cards, in my collection, spanned across 50, if not 100 different sets. To me, I acknowledge that those cards are useless unless if I sell them. To me, that's what collections are. Unless you sell them, they're basically useless. Not useless, worthless, because of the fact that you're not generating anything from them. You're not generating. How can something you keep actually generate you any money, Phil? It doesn't.
It. Like, that's common sense. A lot of people don't have it, though. I guess you don't. But thanks for the $1 tip. I have literally never used the term autistic as an insult. Someone just tipped $2, says, don't use the term autistic as an insult. I've literally never done that. I've used it as a factual description. If you find it insulting,
He's okay using the word autistic, but you say the word dent, and oh my god, he loses his freaking mind.
That says more about you than me. I'm using it as a factual description of how people behave. And if you don't understand that, that's on you. That's not on the person using the term. I'm not insulting anyone and using it as an insulting term whatsoever. So, tough I will use words as they're supposed to be used, and you will handle it like an adult.
And this is why Phil knows he can never do anything with anybody, because he has pissed off so many people that even if they were to, like, say, snake him, basically, it would not end well for him. He has like a 0.0001% chance of a collaboration ever working out positively for him.
Good Lord. Why has society become so pussyfooted that people can't even use normal words normally because you're so sensitive?
Okay, so that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, this was an interesting video. I'm not going to lie. I think that there is more here than what our boy Phil is telling us. I think that he had, I wouldn't say it was like an extremely long history of talking to Grace Thorp, but there's definitely something there. There's something there. She even said it, and I love the fact that he acts like, well, whatever happened between me and her is private. She literally put out, I wasn't even like, she didn't leak the DMs. She literally just confirmed that Phil talked to her, But yeah, so there's something going on there, and I don't buy this whole thing about the expanding a phone's battery life. That is something he could have asked one of his viewers for help with. You're telling me once again that he needed their help to fix his computer, but he couldn't ask them, "Hey guys, here's my phone. Here's my phone." Well, there it is. Here's my phone. How can I get the battery? How can I extend battery while streaming? You're telling me he couldn't do that? Really? Okay, well, that's it. I'll see you all later. Peace out.